проекти на стойност 2 милиона евро са били подкрепени от програма Медиа. През 2007 година Медиа стартира новата генерация програми. Това е Медиа 2007, с основен акцент в работата, дистрибуция, нови технологии и, разбира се, традиционните направления като тренинг в областта на киното, тренинг за професионалисти, не говорим за обучение в висше образование, а за последващо обучение в професионалната гилдия. Ето това е структурата на програмата. Виждате, че става дума за тренинг, за развитие на продуцентски проекти, за разпространение на филми и аудиовизуални програми, промоция, включително подкрепата на фестивали. Фестивала Sofia Film Meetings, примерно, е подкрепен в последните години с различни суми, но тази година мисля, че беше 35 000 евро, а пък Sofia Film Meetings, събитието, на което сме в момента, е с една подкрепа от програма Медиа в размер на 55 000 евро тази година. Има едно направление, което улеснява достъпа до финансиране, което, за съжаление, в България е твърде неразвито и не е практично, защото тук Медиа дава гаранции, финансови гаранции, когато една фирма или продуцент кандидатства пред банка за отпускане на кредит, но доколкото знам, нито една банка в България не отпуска кредит за заснемането на филми, за съжаление все още, поради което малко това направление не е актуално за нас. Държавите, които участват в програма Медиа, са, разбира се, всички членки на Европейския съюз, плюс държавите от Европейското икономическо пространство, Швейцария. Няма да ги изреждам, виждате ги. Съвсем накратко за направлението тренинг. В него се насърчават европейски институции, които предлагат професионален тренинг. Финансират се програми в областта на тренинга, а от тази година, буквално от вчера, е публикуван един конкурс, в който тренинговите институции биха могли да кандидатстват за 4 годишно пакетно финансиране на продължаващи обучителни инициативи. До сега от България има две институции, които са получили финансиране по програма тренинг. Това е Интерспейс с тренинг в областта на отворения софтуер, така наречения курс TOSMI. И миналата година Червената къща, The Red House, с курс How to Say It за писане на сценарии. Тази година TOSMI е единствената тренинг институция, която Интерспейс, с курса си TOSMI е единствената институция, която получи финансиране в размер на 80 000 евро. Направлението развитие е насочено предимно към продуцентски проекти, продуцентски фирми, предоставя финансова подкрепа на независими продуцентски компании за развитието на техните проекти, като механизмите са 3. Едното е развитието на единични проекти, това е за продуцентски фирми с не много голям финансов капацитет и не много голям опит зад гърба си, които кандидатства само с един проект. Подкрепата под форма на пакетно финансиране или така наречения slate funding е насочен към по-големи продуцентски компании, които имат доста голям опит в менажирането на филмови проекти с стабилна финансова история. И подкрепата за създаването на он и офлайн интерактивни творби, което е едно от новите направления и е свързано с желанието на програма Медиа да отваря погледа си към проекти, които са свързани с нови технологии. Направлението разпространение е направлението, за което Габор и ще ни разкаже малко повече сега, но само накратко ще кажа, че тук има няколко механизми на подкрепа. Едното е автоматичната подкрепа, другото е селективната подкрепата за търговски посредници, кинопоказа, който е съсредоточен в така наречената мрежа Европа Синема, позната на повечето от хората, които се занимават с дистрибуция. За съжаление, в България има само няколко салона, няколко бяха затворени, и телевизионното разпространение, което е също част от разпространителския механизъм. Направлението промоция се насочва и така фокусира върху различни промоционални дейности за европейското кино. Тук спадат различните пазари на кинопродукция в Кан, в Берлин, и ние многократно в нашите бюлетини на програма Медиа, между другото, ако някой от вас не ги получава, би искал да ги получава, с удоволствие ще взема контактите, за да ви ги изпращаме. Многократно сме пускали информация за това какъв е механизма български продуценти и дистрибутори да участват на пазарите, на големите пазари в Кан или Берлин, с едни много малки такси, благодарение на програма Медиа и на щандовете, които програма Медиа прави. Това са така наречените амбрела щандове. Но да не задълбаваме в този детайл, готов съм да ви разкажа на 4 очи после как става работата. Подкрепата на фестивалите е съсредоточена към фестивали, които програмират в своите програми предимно европейски филми или един голям процент европейски филми. Повече от 50% европейски филми, какъвто и случай с София Филмфест. Това са фестивалите в Берлин, в Кан, в Карлови Вари, Котбус, ако се не лъжа, и други. Няма шанс, за съжаление, малки фестивалчета или фестивали, които те първа прохождат. Подкрепата е насочена към фестивали с име, Сараево, между другото също, ако се не лъжа. Фестивали с име и с сила и възможности да презентират европейското кино. За пилотни проекти казах малко повече. Това са всички проекти, които са свързани с нови технологии и с нови възможности за представяне на европейска аудиовизуална форма. Малко статистика за подкрепените проекти от България в последните 2 години. 2006, това е последната година на предишната генерация програми. Общата сума е почти 700 000 евро. За съжаление, миналата година нямаме нито един проект в областта на развитието на филмови проекти, но за сметка на това имаме други с доста по-малка обща сума, 446 363 евро. Ето го и бюлетина, за който говоря. Ако наистина не го получавате, в него 4-5 пъти в годината излиза, но е с доста изчерпателна информация за новите конкурси на програмата, за неща, които са се случили или ще се случат. Правим възможното да поднесем информация за тренинг, за предстоящи курсове, също в бъдеще. И го пращаме както в електронен вариант, така и по почтата. Това е страницата ни в интернет, която съветвам също да си сложите като favorite, защото в нея така публикуваме най-бързо това, което трябва да се каже. Нашия адрес. Намираме се на последния етаж в сградата на президентството, там където е и Националния филмов център. Всъщност бюрото Медиа е и част от Националния филмов център, тъй като финансирането му е поделено между Европейския съюз и Националния филмов център.
Thank you, Carmen, and thank you very much for inviting us here. It's the first time that the media distribution team is here in Sofia, so we are very happy to be here, and thank you all very much for coming. Carmen has given you a very nice overview on the different aspects of the media program and what is covered by our support schemes. My colleague Gregory Parr and myself, we are working in the distribution department of the media program, which means that we are supporting distribution companies to which distribute European non-national films in Europe. Carmen has mentioned that that first of all the distribution scheme is the biggest support scheme in the media program. So we have approximately 55% of the total budget of the media program is devoted to and dedicated to the distribution of European films. In our just that you understand a little bit better. So in the distribution, it's the automatic scheme, the selective scheme for theatrical distribution, and then we also have the support scheme for sales agents. But there is also the networking of cinemas showing European films and the TV schemes, which are not, which are also part of the distribution sector. But the two of us, we are not dealing with those, so I will not be able to answer any questions concerning that. But my colleague Arnaud Pasquali, who has just entered the room, he will be very happy to answer your questions if you have any concerning the networking of European cinemas. So what will happen today is that yeah. So first of all, I will briefly explain to you what the automatic scheme is about, and most importantly, what the changes and the reform of the automatic scheme that we have just recently done mean to the guidelines. Then I will give you a brief overview also about the current calls on this particular scheme and the deadlines. Then I will focus on the selective scheme. So you will get to know more about the reform of the selective scheme that has that has also taken place during the last call for proposals. And finally, Gregory is going to come with some monitoring issues, which means these are very bureaucratic elements, but as we are a huge machine basically dealing with thousands of contracts, there are certain aspects that are very important for you to know about when you have a contract with us on any of our schemes. So let's start with the automatic support scheme. Now, just for your information, in 2007, we had on the automatic support scheme, we had the generation phase. So the system, it works in the support scheme works in two phases. It's first of all the generation phase, which means that you declare to us the admissions that you made the previous year. With European non-national films, and based on these admissions, we calculate a potential fund that is available for you to use it for future projects. And this is what we afterwards call the reinvestment project. So you have to find projects in the future in which you reinvest the potential money that is available for you. And so in 2007, we had a generation, this is a total generation of all the European companies from all the 31 participating countries. They have generated a potential fund of 23 million euros. This is a new record, basically. It has never been so high. These funds were generated by a total number of 247 distribution companies Europe-wide. At the same time, in 2007, we had 485 of these reinvestment projects, and for these projects, we have paid out a little bit more than 16 million euros. Then there are I have two of these colorful cakes for you. They are not really interesting because they don't show anything new. This first graph, it gives you an overview on the number of reinvestment projects coming from particular territories. And here you will see that most of these new reinvestment projects came from Switzerland, followed by Austria and followed by Portugal. The reason for that is that in these countries, there is a very high number of European non-national films released, but the projects are very small, which means that per project they receive not such a high amount. Therefore, a lot of projects need to be presented to use up all the funds that are available. In the next cake, it's even less informative, basically, because it shows the country of origin, so the nationality of the films in which the monies paid by us were used for. And you will see that basically 75% of the projects were for films coming from the big 5 countries. So most projects were French films, followed by UK and German films. But now let's...
Unfortunately not Bulgarian.
Unfortunately not Bulgarian. In fact, now that you mention it, so it's really unfortunate because until now we didn't have a single Bulgarian film, in fact, for which a company would have applied, a distribution company. I hope that this will soon change. Coming now, so concretely to the changes that the automatic scheme has undergone in the current call. In this table, first of all, you see that the distribution territories we have split up in 4 categories. They used to be in 3 categories. We used to have small countries, medium countries, large countries, but when the automatic scheme was introduced in the first place, we had 15 countries participating in the program. Since then, this number has grown to 31 countries. So, of course, some kind of fine-tuning was necessary here, and that's why we have introduced a 4th category, and you will see that Bulgaria is in the 4th category, so in the category of the smallest countries, which means that most of the positive discrimination from us goes towards, of course, the smallest of the territories participating. Now, until now, the system worked like that so Bulgarian distribution companies declared to us at the beginning of a year the number of paid admissions that they made during the past year with European non-national films. And then we have made the calculation of this potential fund. Now, concretely, it meant that for any French film or UK film, we have calculated 55 euro cents per paid admission. And for German, Spanish, and Italian films, it was 65 euro cents, and for any other, so films from any other countries, it was 70 cents per paying admission. Now, this generation phase has been reformed a bit because we would like to prize distributors for the risks that they take with distributing new films. And this basically means that every distribution activity that you have with any film is linked to a minimum number of costs. So it doesn't matter which film you distribute, you have a certain amount of costs that are related to the distribution of the film, not depending on whether the film was successful in the end or not in the cinemas. And therefore, we would like to pay you or to give you more money for the first admissions that you make with a film than for the later admissions. It's also understandable because the more admissions you make, the less support basically you need from our side, because sooner or later, hopefully, your costs will be covered. So this means now that for Bulgarian distributors, for the first 4,000 admissions that you declare with any of your European non-national films, we give you from now on 150% of the amount that you would have received until now. If you have made more than 4,000 admissions, then for any admission above this 4,000, you will get 100%, so the full amount that you received until now, up until the 16,000th admission. And then if you have even more admissions than 16,000, then you get only 35% of what you used to get before. But this means that if you have 16,000 admissions with a European non-national film, then you have already, you receive already more money from us right now than you used to receive before. It's a little bit complex, this matrix, but in our current guidelines that you can find on our website, on the very last page of the automatic guidelines, you find a table which gives you the exact figures. So for what nationality of film you receive exactly what amount of money. It's I think, more easy to follow. And then there is, this is nothing new, it has been like that before, that you have to reach a certain amount of this potential fund in order that you can use this fund for the reinvestment project. In the case of Bulgaria, this is 1,000 euros. So it means that if you have reached this amount of fund from us, then you can use your potential fund for the following 16 months, so you have approximately 16 months time to use up the money that you have at your disposal. In case if you don't reach this threshold, the money is not lost, because then we will put it aside and we will add this amount to the next year's amount that you generate. So this is also nothing new, it has been like that before. And now for the just for the timetable, so we have right now currently the call with the number 2707 open. You can find the guidelines, the application forms on our website, and the deadline for application on the automatic scheme is the 30th of April. So it means by the 30th of April this year, we would need from you the number of paid admissions that you made in 2007 with European non-national films. And then, based on the calculation that we will make on this application, you will have time until the 1st of October next year to reuse these funds. Now, for the reuse of these funds, there are certain deadlines that are important. You can use the money for new projects, and those new projects can be either a co-production, so when a distributor is involved in a co-production, or in the purchase of new European non-national films, so for minimum guarantees, or for the promotion and marketing costs. And the important thing is that these projects should not start before the 1st of August 2008. Which concretely means that if you buy a film from now until the 1st of August and you would like to use that film as a reinvestment project on this open call, then you should right now only sign a deal memo, and if it's possible, wait with the signature of the long-form agreement until the 1st of August, because the contract cannot be signed before, otherwise we cannot accept the project. And another, just a reminder that, but this is also something that I'm sure you know, that if you use monies on the automatic scheme for the module 3, which is the marketing costs, then for the same film you cannot receive any selective support from us. So much about the reform of the automatic scheme. Do you have any questions so far concerning the automatic scheme? Okay, if not, then I continue with the selective scheme. So in the selective scheme in 2008, we have a little bit more than 12 million euros that we can spend. We have 3 deadlines. We have one deadline on the 1st of April, one deadline on the 1st of July, and a last deadline we will be on the 1st of December. This is also as it has always been the case. But what is new now is that we will deal with small films in a different way on the selective scheme than the way we deal with medium-sized films. Now, I will immediately tell you what is meant by small film and medium film. Just a few words about the idea behind the changes on the selective scheme. This is based on the fact that we have noticed that during the past years, the selective scheme has either supported very small and very difficult films or big European blockbusters. But the medium-sized films, which were mainly French or UK productions, they didn't get any support from us anymore because the films didn't score enough points to be selected. And in fact, as in our eyes, these medium-sized films also represent, in a way, the European audiovisual industry, and they should also be visible. We have decided to split basically the selective scheme in 2 parts, and we will reserve 40% of our total budget for small films. Small films, it means a film with a production budget of less than 3 million euros. And then 60% of the budget is reserved for medium-sized films. It's films with production budget between 3 and 15 million euros. You will also notice that we have lowered the upper ceiling. Before it used to be 25 million euros of production budget. We have lowered that to 15 million euros because this was exactly the type of films that we didn't want to support anymore via the selective scheme. These films between 15 million and 25 million of production budget, because those films are, generally speaking, of course there are also exceptions, but generally speaking they are easier to distribute, and the automatic scheme is still open for these films. Okay, and we have exactly 1 minute left. That's why. Okay. There is a point system which we use to see what films are supported in the selective scheme. The principle is that a group of distributors, of European distributors, apply together to distribute the same film in the same period of time around Europe. And it means that we have, at the moment, we need at least 5 distribution companies to apply together for the distribution of one film. We give points for these groupings. We give 1 point per distributor who is applying. We give also, from now on, this is new, we will give also bonus points, so 2 extra points to the grouping if there are at least 10 distributors participating in the grouping. So if there are at least 10 distributors applying together for support. We kept this discrimination for French and UK films, so those films don't get any extra points for the nationality. If you are applying for a German, Spanish or Italian film, you get 1 extra point. If you are applying for a film from a country with a low production capacity, you get 2 points. And if you are applying for a film coming from the new member states of the program, which means so since 2004, then this will give you 3 points. In addition, this used to be 4 points before. Now it's 3 points. And then we also support, or would like to support, new talents. That's why we give 2 extra points for films of a new director. Then there is also a positive discrimination for documentaries, animation films, and children films. And we would also like to support the cooperation between the distributors and the sales agent or the producer of the film. And that's why if these groupings are coordinated by the sales agent or the producer of the film, then there are also extra points involved, especially if the sales agent has a different nationality than the film itself. Now, this is the table that we will use from now on for all the films below 3 million euros of production budget. This table shows you the point system for all films that have between 3 and 15 million euros of production budget. It's a very similar table. The only difference is that you need to be at least 7 distributors for these medium-sized films if you want to apply on the selective scheme. This is for a very, in fact, for a very practical reason. It's because in the past, if you have applied with 5 distributors for such a film, you were never selected. So that's why we tell you up front that you need to have at least 7 distributors to have a chance to be selected. Then we give an extra point if the film has a little bit lower budget, so it's a budget between 3 and 5 million euros of production costs. And the remaining points are exactly the same as in the other table. So what happens is that we receive all the applications from distributors on the deadline, and then based on these point tables, we make a ranking of the films that distributors have applied for. And then we start to discuss first the films that have scored the most points, and those films are selected, and distributors get a certain amount of support from us. And then we continue with the next film that has scored the next amount of points, and this goes until our budget is finished. So in general, just that you have an idea, we have a demand of approximately 10 to 12 million euros per deadline, but we only have 4 million euros per deadline to spend. So you see that we never have enough money to cover all the projects. That's why it is necessary to have such a selection, and this is why the scheme is called the selective scheme. Now Gregory will tell you a little bit about the film qualification, so on what principle we give a nationality to a film, because this is something that is very important for you to understand.
Yes, so film qualification is actually a simple thing, a little thing, but at the same time very important because it's on the base of every application. It's not worth applying for a project which will finally be established as mainly produced in the US. So you have to understand exactly the way we qualify films. There is first point I would like to remind. You need to check first if the film is already qualified on the website. We have a database, so those who know already the media program probably know this. If the film is qualified, you don't need to send any information on the film. If the film is not qualified, then this is useful to know. You need to pay attention to 2 main points for the film. On the one hand, the cast and crew consideration, where we award a certain number of points according to the responsibility inside of the team. So you have on the slide the number of points per responsibility. You can see that the director would get 3 points, script writer 3 points, composer 1 point, then the main actors would get 2 points, the 3 main ones, and it's the one which are credited as such. It's not just those you decide are the main ones. Artistic director, production design is 1 point, editor 1 point, sound 1 point, shooting location 1 point, and laboratory 1 point. And it makes a total point of 19, and you need to get a minimum of 10 points among these 19 points so that the film is considered as European. And these points also determine the nationality of the film. So it will not be the production side, which is now the second point which you have also to pay attention for the Europeanity of the film. You have to establish that the main production company is established in one of the media program's country member. And for this, we check the financial plan of the film, and we need every companies which are presented in the credits of the film to be present in this financial plan, because usually when we have co-production with the US, we get a financial plan which doesn't give the US companies, which is not acceptable. Okay, and last but not least, we consider also if the film is ancient. So it needs to be, the first copyright needs to have been published in 2005, the latest. And it can be, of course, afterwards, so 3 years from latest call. Now, if you have enough about the administrative staff, sorry, it's going to continue. It's the most heavy part. It's the monitoring side. So it means from the signature of the contract until after. So just the basic things you need to know. We have now a rule concerning the eligibility period extension for every contracts which were signed in the frame of calls which were published during 2007 and afterwards. There would be no more retroactivity of the eligible period. So eligible period is, of course, the period during which the cost of your project is eligible. So you have to pay attention to the starting eligible date of your project, because it will never be pushed in the past. It can be slipped towards the future, but never in the past. So pay attention to the beginning of your project. Now, the other point is that if you need an extension of the eligible period in the future, you need to ask writtenly, by written means, at least 2 months before the end of the eligible period. But normally, we now won't need so much this heavy procedure to ask for an extension and a rider, because we have extended the eligible period now up to 10 months after the release date of the film. So hopefully you will not need so many of these requests, because it used to be only 6 months after the release. Now, the other point was the new 10% rule of variation. So you know that you submit a provisional budget of your distribution release cost, and then you give a final report at the end to get the second payment at the end of your project. And we allow only 10% of variation between these two budgets from the calls of selective 0701. So this is just concerning the selective scheme now, and sales agent 0606 and automatic 0707. You will, it means 10% of the final budget will be allowed per headings. So if you want a concrete example, because it's a bit abstract, maybe you can go to the next one. Just, you get a final total budget of 100,000 euro, then the maximum allowed variation will be 10,000 for instance, the print cost heading. This cost will not vary minus or plus more than 10,000. Before, for all contracts which were signed before the frame of these calls, it used to be 30% of variation per 30% cost of each heading. It's a bit complicated to to see, but pay attention. So now it sounds in your disadvantage, but it's not actually, because hopefully now it means that you will not need anymore or much less request of exception, because of course this rule is just the rule for the financial rules in the European Union. But we understand that professionals have somehow some change at the end of their project. And the only thing is that then we need to provide an exception justification in your final report when it goes over these 10%. So we try to increase the margin by considering 10% of the total budget instead of 30% of the specific cost of variation, which means normally less request of exception will be necessary in the future. Now,
sorry, just to add. So, practically speaking, it means that if you have a change in your budget, which is completely normal, then please just inform us about that and give us an explanation on why that happened. Of course, this explanation is very banal, because we know exactly that you can't know so many months beforehand how much money you will spend on the distribution of a certain film. So this is completely normal that you have a different budget. It's just that for our bureaucratic heads, we need to have a sheet of paper that we put in the file in which you explain why you spent different amounts.
Okay, now for the selective scheme exclusively, the great change which occurred already last year was that so the grants used to be composed of one subsidy and one loan. The subsidy was covering the dubbing and subtitling cost, so it was you never had to pay it back, and the rest of the distribution cost was a loan, conditionally reimbursable, subject to the results of the film. So if the film was a big success, then you had to pay back the money through a repayment report. Now the great change, which is easier, is that it's a whole subsidy. So you don't need to pay back the money at the end. Because usually in the final report you had to give invoices concerning the dubbing and subtitling cost, you don't need to provide it anymore for contracts which have been signed as of call 0701 for the selective scheme, because it's a subsidy anyway, so you don't need this paper anymore. So as a conclusion, of course, all this is a bit complicated to know, but please try to pay attention as much as possible. And if you have a problem to respect your obligations in your agreement, then inform us in writing as soon as possible. We are here to help you. We know you have a job and it's not your full-time activity to fill in applications for the media program and follow up your contracts, but we try to make it as easy as possible for you, but only if you inform us on time, and we'll be as efficient as possible only if you can communicate with us. Last but not least, the contact details of everybody. So you have a big share between the selection process in distribution and monitoring. So for the selection contact, if you apply for the selective scheme, it will be Maud Rouxel, automatic Christopher Miller, sales agent, which we didn't talk about so much, but so it's Anne Dumont and Charles Freyer. And for the monitoring now, Raymond Goverd is the most experienced guy, which is working in the team for ages now. I'm sorry, and so you can ask him basically everything. Or for specific application of selective, it's Amelia Co. Well, you can read it on yourself, actually. Automatic, Dimitra Karetsa and Jean-Charles. And you don't see my name on these contact details, but because maybe I'm working in the shadow most of the time, I'm taking care of the distribution agreements, basically to check if it's okay according to the guidelines. So, but if you have any question, you can always contact me also. No problem. Gregory is my name. Okay.
And Gregory is also dealing with the qualification of the film. So if we haven't had an application yet for a new film, then this film doesn't show up in our database. Have you mentioned this? I don't remember anymore, but we have a database on our website in which you find all the films that have been qualified already by us. If you don't find that film in the database, it means that we still need to do that work, and then it's Gregory who is doing it, and he needs for that what he has explained to you. He needs so cast and crew list and the financing plan, and then he's dealing with the qualification. And in fact, this leads us to the end of this workshop. Okay, so thank you very much for coming, and hopefully see you soon.